What is up, Mecha Army? Welcome to the Chowda Mecha live stream. I am your host, Tim, the one and only Chowda Mecha. It is Wednesday, you guys. We are going to jump back on this Team SD Buildoff deal and continue to kick this thing in the ass and just kind of have fun with it. Yeah, so, man, I don't know about you guys, but it started off as a shit Wednesday, but it's got infinitely better. I'm going to tell you that much right now. So, yep. Chowda Mecha shirt, y'all lost. Womp womp. But that's okay. Just because you lost doesn't mean that you're losers. Remember that. Let's see. Yesterday, after the stream, got a lot of work done and everything like that. Like I said, today started off just kind of poo-poo. But has it, in the last few hours, has looked, has gotten better. Yeah. Not great. I still don't have a job. But better. Better. Better is always good, right? Right? Now, let's get business out of the way and then we'll get into it, yeah? So we're rocking the classic today, the Chowda Mecha shirt. If you would like one of these, hit www.chowdamecha.com. There's a store link up at the top. Hit that, and you will find this shirt, many more hats, prints of my work, stuff like that. Fun stuff. Go load up. They make wonderful stimulus money presents, because I know so many of you in the U.S. are getting those stimulus checks right now. Don't forget your boy. Anyway, let's see. Yes, Alex Andrews, we definitely muted Alexa. There's like 40 of them going off right now, or maybe 30. But anyway. If you are interested in any of the tools and materials that we are going to be working with here today, there's an Amazon link just below here on Twitch and YouTube. That side, if you're watching on Facebook, I do get a bit of commission based off the stuff that you buy, but it doesn't increase the cost for you. It definitely goes to help out the stream, help out me, and kind of fuel all of our endeavors moving forward, which are rapidly moving at this point. And there's going to be even more stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. A lot of fun. Buckle up, you guys. Buckle up. Let's see. If you are interested in kits or paints or accessories or the amazing Mecha Decals sheets 1 and 2, they are in stock and shipping now. Our friends right down here, USA Gundam Store. Go hit up Adam and the crew down there. They'll definitely have what you need. So, with that being said, you guys, here. Oh, look what I got here. Look what I got. Oh, look at that. Look at all of them. Look at all of these beautiful navy signature color envelopes. I wonder what's in them. I wonder who they're going to. Well, you're just going to have to wait and see. I know Kyle has been waiting. Mr. Clueless Gunplay, he's been waiting by his mailbox. His neighbors got mad at him, though, for peeing in their garden. That's what he said, anyways. Yeah. So, those are going to be going out in the mail. So, if you've sent me your address, or if I've asked for it, or any of that, let's go. You got something coming to you. Yeah. Alex Andrews, Mecha Decal Sheet 3. You know what? Right now, we it's still a little early for Sheet 3, because Sheet 2 just came out. So we're still a ways away on Sheet 3, Alex. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Chris Pabs, Jello? Gello? Hello. God. Pabs, learn to spell. Anyway. Kyle says, I thought we agreed on Sophia Bill. Kyle, I thought I was your Alexa. Ah, gotcha. Nice. Excuse me. Alex Andrews says, I was guessing what was in the envelope. Ah, yeah, no. Not G3. Nowhere near that. Nowhere near that one. William Williams says, Pabby is drunk already. Well, maybe. I don't know. Kyle says, yes, finally get to part ways with my mailbox. Soon. Soon, Kyle. Soon, buddy. And pack those envelopes full of goodies and all that. So that's going to be coming out to people. All that good stuff. So if you have sent me stickers and stuff like that and other things, here we go. Buckle up. So yeah. Kyle says it's been a rough relationship. Yeah, I can imagine, Kyle. I can imagine. That mailbox has probably seen better days, hasn't it, buddy? Anyway. All right. So, with that being said, let's jump into the SD Buildoff dealy here, yeah? Let's go camera 2. And let's see. So, yesterday, we we finished up these two, the knee pieces and whatever we want to call them. So those are done. Those are ready to go. And so I think what we're gonna work on today is we're gonna get back here on the waist unit, and we got the crotch piece done yesterday. We got all that looking good and modified and all that, so that's good. And when I started to work on the front skirts over the weekend, so I think that's what we're gonna start with. If we have time, we'll kind of move around here to the back skirts as well. Ooh, look at that, MCG Jaeger. Thank you for the follow, appreciate that. Welcome to the Mecha Army. You get one of these. Hey now. Always a fun time. Jeremy Chassan, he's over there on Facebook. He says, hope you're good, brother. Dude, I hope you're good too, man. Get that stimulus check money from people, man. Hell yeah. If you don't know Jeremy, he runs the Gundam Project shop. You can check him out on Facebook and stuff like that. Good dude. Hit him up. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on in here right now. Yeah. MCG Jaeger over there on Twitch, he says, no worries, I followed your work on Facebook for a while. It's awesome stuff. Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate that. That's awesome. Appreciate the compliments. Brandon says, hey, everyone, random question for the chat. Need a new phone. Should I go iPhone 11 Pro or Samsung S20? Been an iPhone person for years. I am a die-hard iPhone guy. Hate me if you want. I get it. I'm just deep into that kind of environment, if you will. I have an X. What is it? XR. Yeah, and I love it. Love the thing. Shoots great footage. I use it in production. The whole 9. Yeah. So I say go with what you know, dude. Go with what you know. Excuse me. Let's see. Over there on the Mecha Army Facebook group, if you're not a member, please go sign up for that. Our boy Robert Cottrell, he's holding it down for us. Robert, what's going on, buddy? Always good to see you. Shit, what is up with my throat right now? There we go. Little bit better. Little bit better. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to jump into this and continue working on these front skirts here. So let's get the crotch piece separated from the front there. So these are the parts that we're going to be tinkering with here today. Now, over the weekend, like I had mentioned, we had put on this little kind of bump out piece, this plated up little bit there, just on these little inserts here, right? And that's about, I don't know, 3/4 millimeter strip, and it's all just, you know, beveled and strapped over the two angles and everything. So that looks really, really good. But, you know, that's the thing. We don't want to necessarily just stop there, obviously. We want to keep going. And that's upside down. So, what I think we're going to end up doing is do a little more scribing on this, right? And probably kind of up here in the corner, maybe down here a little bit. Just do something kind of subtle and fun. Yeah? I like fun. Fun is, it's always good. Now, let's see. Let's get these clear inserts. Let's get these out of here. We'll put these off to the side, yeah? And we don't need the inserts that we were messing around with over the weekend either. So that's all good there. Super said, uh-oh, looks like someone has the big V. You better not be going all zombie on us. I hear it's bad for your health. Yeah, well, I hope not either. Yeah, I hope not either. No, and honestly, I just a little something right here, just frog in my throat. No big deal. I feel perfectly fine, by the way. All right, so what we're gonna do first? Let's sand these surfaces down, and let's get a little bit of texture on here so we can kind of start to lay out what we want to do, right? So just a fine grit sandpaper. We're just scuffing up the surface here. Nothing super crazy. Just get that nice and sanded even. And we're going to do the same thing with this guy up here, up in the corner. And we're also going to do the same thing on the top of the skirt, because we're going to end up doing something, probably wrapping some lines up here and all that good stuff. And maybe even on the side. Let's just, for safety's sake, right? Let's see. There we go. All right, so these surfaces are sanded, looking good and everything. So let's see. The first thing that I would probably want to do, because this this insert, this transparent insert, comes down right to here. So what we could do is we can kind of play off of these corners there as well, right? So what I'm thinking is follow the angle kind of down like this, right? And then maybe down to there, right? But then before, and I know I drew the lines all the way down to the edge, but we're not gonna do that, right? So we're gonna come up probably about 1 millimeter or so. And then that will be our end point, yeah? I'm just kind of scraping that scraping that graphite off of there, right? And let's see here. Let's put this back in for just a second. All right, so yeah, so see, it comes down this way, right? Just kind of like that, right? Now I kind of like that. I like that a lot. And then over here, what we can do is just kind of like we could do like a 45-degree little floating notch, right? Now that's way too big. Obviously, we're going to make it a lot smaller than that, right? But then also, what we can do make a couple little notches just like that. Yeah? So that's looking pretty good. I like that so far. I like that so far. Now, let's put this back on here just to see what everything is going to look like eventually. And there's kind of that look, right? Now, wanted to do something a little bit more up here. So what we could do, let's see. So we can play off of some of these corners and angles a little bit, right? So let's kind of come down like that, and that'll stop right there. And then, let's see, kind of go up from this at that same angle, right? And now that what that does is it separates this panel here, and then we can just kind of go back there. Now this whole piece right here is now effectively separated, right? And that's what you kind of want to do with panel lines, or at least in my estimation of panel lines, is you want to take the angles and the corners and the natural shapes and everything of the piece and kind of play off of those with your panel lines, right? So that's why I kind of brought this line down here at that same angle, and that's why we're bringing this line up here to match this angle here, right? And then down here at the bottom, we're playing off of these two start-stop points, and then obviously that's just going to be a simple floating notch out there, right? Now, another thing that we could do, which could be interesting, is to have just like a little something, just a little floating notch right there, right on that right on that corner, right? And I think that will kind of, yeah, that'll basically be it for this, right? Because you do want to leave some open spaces. You don't want it filled with panel lines, like what is it, Studio Rihito? You guys may follow him on Instagram or Twitter or something like that. Amazing craftsman, insanely skilled with a chisel in his hands, but his aesthetic is not for everyone, right? His aesthetic is it's very cluttered, kind of, but it's absolutely stunning to kind of look at and appreciate kind of as art, right? So, we don't want to necessarily go in that direction. We want a sense of realism, but the thing that we have to remember is that we're dealing with the Unicorn Gundam, which is a completely different design language than, say, your normal Gundam or your normal mech or mobile suit or what have you. This thing is made up of many, many, many panels that go and transform in every direction and all that, right, to expose the psycho frame underneath when it goes into NTD mode. So what we do on the Unicorn, honestly, is way different than what I would do on most other mobile suits, right? This design language is just kind of off the rails. Let's put it that way, right? So that's kind of what we're up against here. But we want to leave some open spaces, mainly for decals, because decals are a big part of any build, in my opinion. Especially like right up here in this corner piece right here, we can have, a little warning symbol there. We can have something over here, maybe something across here, maybe a long one across this little panel down here. Just throwing out ideas. I don't know what we're going to do when it comes to decals, but, we leave those spaces open, and it just is going to look better, right? It's just going to look better. Let's see. Bill says, very busy. Cool to look at parts of the build, but not as a whole due to that. Yeah, I think Bill's talking about Studio Rihito. And if you guys have not followed him, I highly suggest it. It's really a worthwhile follow. Either on Twitch or not Twitch. Either on Twitter or Instagram. Either one. The guy is phenomenal with a chisel in his hand. He's an absolute freaking master at fine chisel work. So yeah. Kyle says, that's one thing I've goofed up on, making panel lines that don't allow much space for a nice decal. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's one of the things that, I try to do. I try to pack in detail, but I try to leave a bit of open space here and there for decals. I don't like a ton of, super big decals, and if it happens to go over a panel line, then so be it. We can tackle that when we come to it. But if you look at real world, military platforms, tanks, planes, etc., the warning marks on those pieces of equipment are somewhat small. So keep the decals small, and you sell that illusion of scale. So yeah. Excuse me. Bill's got a question.
We have a question.
Hey now. Bill says, Tim, instead of the floating notch by itself, a small detail of styrene would work and show more layers of depth. Can you explain why you are choosing one over the other? Yeah, because in my opinion, this already has a ton of vertical and height, variance. You've got at least, four different level heights there. You've got the base skirt, you've got the psycho frame, you've got this height here on the insert, and then you've got the bump out that we added on top of that. So, yeah, you've already got a ton of height variance in this. So, by going subtractive, it just kind of, in my opinion, gives a better aesthetic, or at least will give a better aesthetic. Excuse me. And because we're, especially down here in the corner, and like I said, that's going to be much, much smaller than obviously what we drew on. But with having this kind of large panel right here, and that being scribed in, I don't want something, jutting out in terms of height over here, right? If, say, for instance, we were putting, a bit of styrene over like a panel line to kind of represent a latch or hinge or something like that, that'd be a different story. But with the unicorn and its kind of, like I said, design language, it's already so many height differences, right? So you kind of need to know when to say when, you know? And that's just my personal taste, right? I'm not saying that's the right way, I'm not saying that's the wrong way. I'm saying that's the right way for me. So that's just kind of why I went with that direction. So Chris Pabs over there on YouTube, he says, I like a few large decals like the name of the suit or a number. Gives my builds some asymmetry. It's unrealistic, but it's artistic. No, I agree. Throw in a large insignia or numbers, right? Like airdrop, like on the shoulder, right? It had the Fighting Cox logo, and it had the number 67 right underneath of that. It's the unit designation on the shoulder, right? So that's, in my opinion, that's completely a normal aesthetic. When you get into Gundam mobile suits, all that stuff, right? You need to know kind of who they are, what group they're with, right? You look at what is it? The tail art on like Navy fighters and stuff like that. You've got the puking dogs, and you've got the Fighting Cocks, and you've got the Grim Reapers and all that. They've got all of their unit insignias on the what I forget. I don't even know what those are called. I'm sure there's a specific term for those vertical wings, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head. But you kind of get what I'm talking about. Even in real case studies, you're gonna have unit designations, right? So that's completely normal. Chris Pab says, if you look at a majority of my builds, there's always something on one side of the suit that the other side doesn't have. Yeah, and I think it's great to throw in some asymmetry here and there. I think it just adds to the realism, quite frankly. Commissar Stanley's got a question.
We have a question.
He says, hey Tim, what tools do you use for measuring and cutting plastic card / pla plate? Whoosa. No. Joking. Totally joking. I use a lot, dude. This is the biggest one right here. This is my little Wave T-square. It comes in this size, and it comes in its bigger brother right there, right? These are the two kind of big ones that I use. I'll use, a Zona L square for measuring on the chopper. I'll use a metal protractor. This guy for finding really odd angles. I'll use. I will now use these guys right here. These angle gauges that Bill sent us. These will be great to measure different angles and stuff like that. In terms of cutting, it's hobby knife with a chisel blade in it, and the chopper. Oh, and then a good set of nippers. But that's kind of my repertoire, if you will, for cutting and measuring. So, yeah. Let's see. Bill says, Chris, my aesthetic tends to keep central portions like the head and torso asymmetrical but balanced, with the limbs close to symmetrical. Chris says, I agree, Bill. Usually warning decals on pairs of limbs stay symmetrical, but insignias usually are on one side. Looks a bit weird if they were on both. Yeah, no, I agree. Let's see. The channel, Mr. David, he's over there on YouTube. He says, it's like nose art on World War II B-17s. Yeah, exactly. Bill says, however, take shoulders. Bill says, I was actually referring more to scribes and details. He says, however, take shoulders. You could put a unit insignia on the left front and right rear with a unit designation or number on the right front and left rear. Yeah, exactly. For stuff like that, yeah, go asymmetrical. It just gives it flavor, right? MCG Jaeger over there on Twitch, he says, as someone who hasn't ventured into applying decals to their kits, but has been building for quite some time, have you got any advice on how to best approach it and recommended tools to get it done? That's a question.
We have a question.
Hey now. It always comes down to proper placement, right? Now, my decaling process is probably a lot different from most. But I will tell you that it works wonderfully well. So I use tweezers, and these are reverse grip tweezers here. I use that, and then here, let me show you. I will use a combination of micro scale products. These guys right here, micro set and micro sol, right? Now, what I'll do is to micro set is basically like almost like a glue. It promotes adhesion to the surface of your models for water slide decals. Micro sol, on the other hand, softens up those decals and makes them conform to curves, weird angles. If it's going across a panel line, that'll help that sink in nicely. It'll soften them up and just kind of make them conform to the surface that they're applied on. So these have two different uses, and I use this one way more than I use micro sol, right? Micro set. Now this is where my technique differs from most. I've got these two little cut off little plastic plastic cups. One I fill with water, one I fill with dead set. I know that looks like dead set, right? But it's decal set. So I'll fill this one with water, cut my decals, pop it in here, let that sit for a few minutes, take that out, and then I'll put it on like a small little, like a Tupperware lid or something like that. Just something to let it sit and kind of soak, right? I won't leave it in the water for long. I will usually dip it in there for a few seconds, take that out, lay that on the little, like I said, little plastic lid and everything. And then once that decal has separated from the carrier, I will remove that decal from the paper with my tweezers, and then I will dip the entire decal in the micro set, the decal set here. I will literally dip it and submerge it in this decal set and then apply it to the surface. I see a lot of people, what they do is they take a brush and they put a little drop of decal set on there, and I've never gotten great results with that, because if you're applying that to a high gloss finish, like you probably should, chances are that decal set's going to run and it's just going to go all over the place. So if you dip the entire decal in it, When that decal retains that, and then you apply it to the surface, then you don't have to worry about it. It's my opinion. And that decal, once you press that down and you know, kind of squeegee that decal in place, it's not going to move. It's not going to move. So that's kind of the way that I do it. But then obviously, you know, you need to let the decals dry and all that good stuff. I use a food dehydrator and I let those parts cook for 24 hours at about 125 degrees. If you don't have that, I would say leave it at least for 24 to 48 hours. At least. Let that water evaporate out from underneath of those decals, or else you're going to end up either with you know, minor silvering. You could end up with weird reactions like bubbling and stuff like that. It's just, you know, who knows what could happen if you apply a top coat to your decals before they're completely dry. It's just a recipe for disaster. Let's put it that way. There we go. Just need to put those away. All right. So, but very good question. And then obviously use great decals. Use high quality decals, right? If I may recommend, Mecha Decal Sheets 1 and 2, available at USA Gundam Store. Yeah, because our decals are just hands down the best I've ever found, or the best I've ever seen. Yeah. Anywho, but MCG Jaeger, hopefully that answers your question there. So let's get caught up here real quick. Bishop Moshi had a question. What brand angle? Oh, wait a minute. We need a. Come on, button. Work with me here. There we go. Hey. He says, what brand angle gauges are the ones that Bill sent you? They are in the Amazon link below on Twitch over there. Yeah. So I think, yeah, and Bishop Moshi says, never mind, I found it, wasn't paying attention. It's all good. Yeah, no, all good. Warm water helps. A lot of people say that. A lot of people say warm water helps. I don't really see a huge difference, but that's just me. I always just use kind of like whatever comes out of the tap first, which is usually cold. Just saying. Just saying. Let's see. Bill, Mr. Ruslam says, however... Oh, we already read that. Sorry, Bill. Julius Dembski, Sarge is over there. He says, I want to follow you. Bill, do you have social media platforms? Yeah, Bill has is on IG. But he says, I am on IG, but don't post much. But that's okay. That's okay. Chris Pab says, I have a feeling Tim isn't getting much done today. Wouldn't seem like it, would it? But we got started. We got started a little bit earlier, so who knows? We might get done. I don't know. Let's see. Joe Homer over there on the Mecha Army Facebook group, he says, just looked at the store. Looks like 90% of the 1/100 are sold out. What, on USA Gundam? Probably, because they're... Adam's getting hammered right now. But the good news is that he's got 2 containers coming from his Canadian distributor, I think either this week or next week. So there should be a massive restock. And then I know Bluefin is assisting him with getting a full container directly from Bandai in Japan. So trust me, that stock will be very much replenished in the very near future. So yeah, Joe, just be patient for a little bit, and trust me, you'll be in good shape. Fernando Oscar Gari, God, Fernando, I literally kill your name every single time there. Garaikoa? Shit, I really hope I'm saying that right. I am so sorry. He says, hey, Tim. What's going on, Fernando? Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for watching. Kyle says, shh, we're getting edumacated, Pabs. Right? Pabby. Just because you know most of this stuff, Pabby, doesn't mean everybody else does. So shh. Shut the fuck up. Let's see here. Fudube always says, buy Mecha Decals so Tim's buttons work. Yeah. Greg Blair says, ever try white vinegar for decal set? No. Vinegar will help to soften the decals, because that's essentially what the solvent is. The decal set's a little bit something different, so I wouldn't necessarily use vinegar for the set. But the solvent, it's kind of a poor man's alternative to it, right? There are other additives and stuff like that in microsol that go to help soften that decal and all that. And then on some decals, especially depending on the printer and sometimes the age, applying solvent can kill the ink on the decals. I've had that happen on the airdrop. Actually, I used one of these military sheets that I got from when my local hobby store closed down a couple years ago, and applied a little bit of decal solvent, just to try and eliminate the edges and stuff like that, and come back to it, look at it like 10-15 minutes later, the Fighting Cocks logo is just running down the shield. I'm like, oh my god, I was horrified, and luckily I was able to clean it up and salvage the shield, right? And then I was able to reapply a brand new decal over top of the film that was still on there, and luckily I was able to make the edges disappear and all that. So yeah. Let's see, Terry T, he's over there on YouTube. He's got a question.
We have a question.
He says, if you were to dip the decal in setting solution, how do you then move it around and make sure the decal set is correct for the part? Well, that's the thing, Terry, because when you pull it out of the decal set, it's still got a ton of that on there. It's still got a ton of moisture on it. So you can lay it down on the surface, and it's still going to float around on that liquid that is, pulled over with the decal, right? So you can still move it around a lot. And even after you squeegee that out, there's still a good amount of time that you can still kind of remove that decal and all that. So it's not necessarily down and it's permanent. No, you've got some work time, but once that does dry, it ain't moving for nothing. Trust me. It's not moving. And Terry says, without ruining the decal when you move it around, that is. Yeah, exactly. It's not going anywhere once it's dried. Let's put it that way. Once it's dried. Michael Crumrine over there on YouTube, he says, definitely I use distilled water on decals. Yeah, I mean, you can. I just use tap. Just the tap water. I find it works for me. But obviously, tap water is different all over the country, right? And in other countries. So, obviously, your mileage will vary, right? Different localities, put in, certain, chemicals and minerals and stuff like that to, eliminate certain flavors or, bump up a mineral content or something like that, or like fluoride or something, or, if you're unfortunate enough to live in like Flint or something like that, where there's still rust and lead and all that in the water, then yeah, I would use the bottled stuff. Yeah. So, obviously that's good. Your mileage will definitely vary, right? So there you go. Let's see. Chris Degger's over there on YouTube. He says, hey everyone, I made it. What's going on, Chris? Bill, Mr. Rushlem says, there are options out there. You can also post on Mecha Army if you're looking for a specific kit, and maybe someone will have it to sell to you. Yeah. I mean, it's not Mecha Army's not necessarily a buy sell type of thing, but if you're looking for a part or something like that, then yes, we support that. We support that. Let's see. Terry T says, "Okay, gotcha. I mixed up set with the Saul. It makes sense now. Yeah, definitely." Greg Blair says, "Haha, I am a poor man." Yeah, you and me both, Greg. Gumple Ronan, Mr. Z's over there on YouTube. He says, "Hey Tim, what up, Z?" Technically, Will's over there on Twitch. He says, "What's up, Child of Mecha?" What's going on, Will? He's also got a question. Let's reload the button. There we go. There we go. He says, "With stickers having a silvering effect, is matte coat the most effective way to remove that?" Huh. You said the S word. Stickers. Puh. I kid. Honestly, Will, stickers are a mixed bag. No, I take that back. Stickers are just bad. Stickers are very, very bad. Especially if you're painting and all that jazz. Stickers are just bad. Take the sticker sheet as soon as you get the kit, throw it in the garbage, and then go and get yourself some water slide decals. Trust me, you will thank me. But to properly answer your question, is matte coat the most effective way of removing that? With stickers, not really, because that air is going to be trapped under there, and it's not exactly going to be able to escape simply because it's a sticker, right? Matte coat may help alleviate that, but with the stickers being so thick, you're going to have to dump a ton of it on there to hide those edges. And then weird things can happen after that. That's why I say throw the stickers out, because they're just not worth the hassle. Water slides are so much better looking because they are thinner. That carrier film is probably a quarter, if that, of the thickness of stickers. So they are extremely, extremely thin, and you can make those edges disappear like it's nothing. Even shit decals, like just super cheap, nasty knockoffs, right? You can make those disappear pretty easily with the proper techniques, with solvent and a good top coat. So, like I said, I'd toss the stickers, man. Just, I know people love their stickers, but they're just, yeah. I'm not a fan, if you could tell, right? Not a fan. Bill says, "Tim, should I take new pics for telling others how I use the angle set, or do you think the ones I sent you will suffice?" Oh, dude, yeah, no, I think those will be perfect. Because as soon as I saw them, light bulb. Ding! I'm like, why didn't I think of that? So, yeah, no, Bill, I thought they were great. So, yeah, go with what you got, man. Go with what you got. Chris Degger says, they're putting fluoride in the water. It's making the friggin' wow. I should have read that before I read that. Oh, I know that meme. Anyway, Commissar Stanley, he's got, or did we already read that? No, he's got another question. Okay, here we go. Q&A day, here we go. Stanley says, after you dip your decal in set and apply it, would you absorb extra liquid with a cotton bud or just leave it alone because of the set? No, actually you do need to squeegee that liquid out. You can use a cotton bud, Q-tip, whatever works in your locality. I happen to use makeup sponges, the little triangular, little cheap makeup sponges, simply because Q-tips, cotton buds, whatever, have a chance to leave behind lint, either above the decal or underneath of the decal. So the sponges are such a tight kind of density that they don't leave any sorts of lint on there, and they absorb that liquid really nicely, and you can reuse that same sponge kind of over and over again for, you know, your decaling session, if you will. Where do I have any left? I don't think I have any left. I might need to go get some before I start decaling again, but I don't think that I do. Yeah, no, doesn't look like I do. Anyway, another alternative, you could always use like one of these little guys. These are just like little makeup applicators, and you can get these super cheap at like not convenience stores, but like kind of like drugstores and stuff like that. That, you know, have that super huge makeup section and all, and even grocery stores and, you know, obviously makeup supply stores will have these. But these are just, you know, that kind of spongy kind of thing, and this will, you know, there's obviously a plastic you know, piece on here so that the foam stays on, but you can use this to, you know, squeegee the decals and everything. These won't last very long when you're doing that, though, because they are obviously very, very small. The sponge isn't big, so it's not nearly as absorbent as, say, like a full-on makeup sponge, but this, you know, that'll do the trick too. Those also are great for applying the Tamiya weathering powders as well. So, yeah. Dragantha, Mr. Ben, he's over there on YouTube. He says, "Hello, Army. What's going on, Ben? Good to see you, buddy." William Wilm says, Tim says he prefers makeup sponges over cotton buds to keep the lint from getting trapped. Bingo. Julius Dempsey says, "Throw out the stickers and buy Mecha Decal sets 1 and 2. Thank you, Sarge. Appreciate that, buddy. Technically, Will over there on Twitch, he says, "Shucks, I suppose I'll get some water slides to replace some kits I have. Thanks for the answer." You are very welcome, Will. Best of luck. Let's see. Bill over there on YouTube, he says, "Stanley, he would advise using makeup sponges rather than cotton buds. Buds can cause small scratches." That's actually true as well. And leave cotton behind or even under the decal. Bingo, right? Man, these guys are on top of it in the chat. Awesome. William says, "This is why we need Mecha Pinup Girl Set 1. It's actually kind of funny. Let's see. Commissar Stanley's got one more question. Here we go, Stanley. He said, "Would I just dab it with the sponge, or is there any specific technique or special technique?" So what I personally do first is, you know, there's going to be like a small kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, puddle of liquid underneath the decal. I mean, it's not going to be running everywhere, but obviously, just through surface tension, transferring that decal from the decal set onto the model, it's going to take some liquid with it, right? So when you put that down, it's just going to be the same thing as you know, if you were to dip it in water. That water would then transfer over to the piece along with the decal. What I personally have found very, very useful is to take the makeup sponge and then lightly apply it directly next to the decal. And what's going to happen, that liquid is going to suck right up into the sponge. It's kind of crazy looking and very, very, very kind of satisfying, really. But that liquid's going to kind of suck into the sponge, which is going to take most of it. And then what you can do is take your sponge and then just kind of start to press onto the decal, and that's going to, number one, push all of the fluid out from underneath of that decal, and then obviously the sponge is there to soak it right up. And then just kind of, you know, lightly dab it and everything like that. By then it should be mostly dry. Obviously there's still going to be a ton of moisture comparatively underneath of that decal and stuff like that. That's why we let it dry for 24 hours in a dehydrator, or at least 24 to 48 in normal conditions. But that's my technique, and I find that it works really, really well. So yeah. Chris Pab says, for those that have a Gaia Notes Master Stick, they also work great as a decal squeegee. That too, it's and same kind of concept, really. William Williams says, I press it down directly over the decal to avoid the decal from moving. Yeah, and when you dab it the first time, you want to go kind of one quick motion so that decal doesn't shift on you, because there's still going to be a good amount of liquid underneath of that decal, even after you even after the sponge sucks it all out, right? So what I kind of like to do is take that sponge and boom, quick right down onto the piece. Not a lot of pressure, but just a quick motion, right? That's going to reduce the chances of that decal shifting on you. Then after that, once you kind of apply that first amount of pressure, then it's usually locked in at that point, and then you can just kind of dab it, any other moisture from there. So, yeah, that's a good point, Will. Good point. Bill says, Stanley, normally you want to roll it a bit. Think how they apply a fingerprint in police stations. Right, with a cotton bud, right? You kind of, here is probably better. With fingerprinting, you kind of roll your finger like that. That's the same kind of technique with a, like with a Q-tip or a cotton bud. You want to start off to the side and just kind of roll it onto there, and that will start to squeegee that decal down, and then obviously squeeze out any of that, the decal set as well. So I'll make a video on this process. Just give me some time, right? Let's see. Chris Pab says, or the Mr. Hobby, Mr. Clean Stick. Whew. And if you guys didn't think there were innuendos. Chris Degger says, I keep the stickers to use as a decoration on my airbrush booth, LOL. Then I buy water slide decals. Hey, I mean, yeah, whatever you want to do, right? Let's see. Hi, Craig. Colin's over there on YouTube. What's going on, Colin? Good to see you, buddy. Written Wisely's over there on YouTube. He says, Zaku lines of makeup brushes to compete with Kylie Jenner. Wow, right? Gigantha, Mr. Ben, he says, I am good. Started building a new project today, so I'm on track. Haha, end of the slump. Awesome. That's good to hear. That's really good to hear. Scott Day's over there on YouTube. He says, I need your decals, actually. What decals did you put on the airdrop, sir? Actually, on airdrop, those were all high Q decals, because that was just before Sheet 1 came out, unfortunately. So I didn't get a chance to apply those onto airdrop. So yeah, those are high Q decals. But the way that I designed Mecha Decals is that they can work in tandem with high Q decals, because it's kind of the same design aesthetic, but ours are 100% original designs. So keep that in mind too. Chris Pab says, I wish I was kidding with that name. It's actually called the Mr. Clean Stick. We just keep going down that rabbit hole, don't we? Yeah. Bill says, I think they call them Mr. Clean Erasers, but not sure you want to use them. Exactly. All right. So what time is it? It's 4:08 already? Jeez. All right. Yeah, we're not getting a lot of work done today, are we? But let's try. Let's try to get some work done, yeah? Let's see. Chris Degger says, is there... Oh, this is a question. This is a good question. This is a very good question.
We have a question.
Chris Degger over there on YouTube, he says, is there a place we can post our builds for the Army to check out? Would be cool if there is not. Anyway, yes, Chris. We have a Facebook group. The Mecha Army Facebook group. Yeah. This right here. Boom. Yeah. Go on Facebook, search Mecha Army. You're going to find it. That's kind of where we congregate. Yeah. The Mecha Army, well, it's not a Facebook page, William. It's a Facebook group, because it's more than us, more than me, more than y'all, right? It's everybody. Everybody. So yeah, like I said, Chris Degger, go search up Facebook for Mecha Army. You will find it. You will find it. But yeah, great question. Great question. All right. So with that being said, let's get to scribing. Yeah? All right. Eyes on. Dymo tape out. Yeah? Here we go. Do I already have Dymo tape cut? It would be amazing if I did. I just need a straight edge. Now, one thing, you guys, especially for you newbies, save your little cutoffs of Dymo tape, because you never know when they're going to come in handy, right? Just these little bits, right? Look at this. Look at all these little bits in here. If it'll focus. There it goes. Yeah. Just the little bits. They're just little bits of Dymo. And they come in super handy, right? Super handy. We could use these. Let's see. And I even have like some shapes in here that will come in like super, super handy. Problem's just getting them out of the damn box here. Like this little guy right here. Look at this. Oop. As I drop it. Nice beveled corners. Straight piece like that. Psh, yeah. That'll come in super handy on something. But none of those pieces are kind of, unfortunately, what we need. So we're going to pull out the chopper here. And we're going to cut some pieces of a Dymo, right? Number one, let's square up that piece there. And then we're just going to cut some little strips here, right? There's one, there's two. Let's get like 3 or 4 of these little guys. Here's 3. And there's 4. All right, cool. Get that off the blade there. So we got our little strips of Dymo here, right? So let's just kind of boom right there. And let me see. Michael Crumrine says, I just posted my latest build today. Hey, I got to check that out. Wim says, I'm old. Everything is a page. Groups are for those young hippie kids that never get off my lawn or grass, he says. Nice. Sparion says, so you have to dig to find the Gumpla painting videos. She has a pretty unique hand painting style brought over from figure painting world. Thin coats, lots of gradient blending, edge lining, all of that. Happy horse shit. Okay. Is that... Who are we talking about, Sparian? I don't know. Did we miss a comment or something? I don't know. He says it's in 3 posts since it was long. Oh, gotcha. We must have missed the first one. Who are you talking about, dude? Oh, let me see. Chris Pab says, Tim, I noticed your chopper mat is rotated. Did you do that on purpose? Yeah, absolutely. Because you'll see that it's gotten cutting gouges. And so I rotate it when one side starts to get crazy. And then what I'll do is I'll flip this over to the other side, get kind of more use out of that. And then Julius was nice enough to send me a replacement mat before they went. So yeah. Yeah. Chris Pab says, clearly I don't pay attention. Well, yeah, there you go. Let's see. Oh yeah, William says, Pabby, he showed before that he chopped so much that it put a cut in the mat. Yeah, so he just turned it to save money. Damn right, yeah. Why not, right? It's square. Why not? Rusham says we didn't see the first one. Yeah, from Sparion. Sparion, who are you talking about, dude? Like, Because we like totally missed, I guess, the first part of your comment. I don't know. All that happy horse shit. I just fucking love that. That's so funny. Oh man. Terry T says, "Are you talking about Senasuke on YouTube?" Yes, she has a great hand painting style. I'd love to try it one day. Okay. Neat. Neat. Neato, as they would say, right? All right. So with this piece here, let's get this part removed first. Let's get this green insert out of the way. Where'd my little? There it is. My little bamboo skewer here. This is kind of just a good all-around thing to have. This little, just a little cut off little bamboo skewer. Sanded the little point here and everything. Sanded the back end, and this is just kind of a good little thing to kind of hold small parts and position little itty bitty parts and stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway, let's get to laying this Dymo down here, yeah? Excuse me. All right, so let's get the backing paper off of here. And this is obviously going to be the hardest part of this whole damned ordeal, is just getting the backing paper off the Dymo. It always is. Right? All right, so there's our piece of Dymo. Now, what we're going to do, we need these lines to look like, basically make this piece look like it's separated. So what that means is this line has to go to the outside of this edge. So the best way that you can do that is lay the Dymo piece right down here, right along the edge of this piece, right? Just like that. And mind you, placement is super important when it comes to something like this. And that just popped up. Son of a bitch. Alright, let's get this. Come on, you. Alright, there we go. Now we're in good shape. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll grab 0.15, our normal panel lining chisel here, and we'll just go to work just scribing this line here. Okay, so now we've got that line set in there. We've got that groove established. Now we're just going to go about reinforcing it and making this line ever deeper. There we go. All right. Now what we can do is we're going to eyeball this, and we're going to try our best here to line up the angle of this Dymo tape with the outside edge of the piece, right? We want to try to make that as parallel as possible, but we're also needing to line it up perfectly with the scribe line that we already cut into place, right? Let's see, that's a little... just like that, I think, is going to be good. All right. Okay. So there's that. Now we reinforce that line as well. All right, so there's part one. Let's get the graphite sanded off of there as well as smoothing out this this line. All right, and get as much dust out of that line as possible, and then we'll just go back over it one time real quick with the chisel. Just to get any remaining little bits and pieces out of there. Now, there we go. That's starting to look rather well. I dig it. I dig it a lot. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to work on this little line right here, and we're also going to wrap that around to the side too. I forgot to put that over there, or the graphite might have just rubbed off. Who knows? All right, so what we're going to do first is we're going to chisel this little corner in first, and we're just going to freehand that because that's right in the corner. Okay, good there. All right, now, since this line right here is so thin, I'm going to go ahead and freehand raw dog this one. But, for you newbies out there, put down a piece of Dymo tape, because, trust me, I've done this plenty of times before. All right, we're going to line up the chisel with the angle break here that we're trying to match, right? Go. Very good, very good, very good. Now we're just going to go about reinforcing that line, making it deeper there, and connecting these two at the corner. Trying to square that corner up nice and neat. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use one of our scribing jigs. And it really doesn't matter which one it is because we're just looking for the right angle here at the edge. So I've got the 4mm here, but you could use whatever, honestly. It really does not matter even a little bit. Get that material off there. Now, the way to properly line this up, at least from what I find, is place the tip of your chisel right into the end of that panel line and slide the scribing jig up until it hits the chisel. That way you know you've got complete and 100% locked in alignment. Just like that. All right. Sand and smooth that line. Sand and smooth that line. And then we're going to put this back together and we're going to kind of see the fruit of our labor here real quick before we move on to the bottom section here, right? Let's just get all the dust out of this line. Just like that. All right, so now let's put the little inserts back in here. Kind of see how this came out here. Oh yeah, that looks good. That looks super, super good. All right, let's get zoomed in so you can kind of see exactly what we did here. Okay. Get the windows back up here now. Let's get that. Yeah, look at that. So see how that, all those lines that we just did follow the angles of the piece that's already there, right? So this line right here follows this angle already kind of predetermined by this piece. That just pops right up there, is that you know, this basically, this whole little panel here can be removed. This follows this, and it's hard to see right this second, but right, let's see, right about there you can see where that angle break is, and that panel line follows that angle break perfectly right up into that piece, and then it breaks down here right into that corner, right? So now this whole side piece where the connector is, see, with that wrapped around panel line right there, we just need to remove the little schmutz there. But now this whole piece looks like it's completely separated, right? And then from there, this whole piece down here at the bottom is just kind of almost like trim style armor, for lack of a better term. So yeah, I think that looks really damn good. Once that catches the panel lining fluid, yeah, it'll look nice. It will look nice. All right, so let's get back out of Super Zoom and let's continue on, yeah? And we'll get caught up in the chat here in just a second once we pull the windows back open here. All right, let's see. Sparion says Tim missed the first post part. Yeah, sorry, dude. I did. Senosuke. Yeah, okay. So that's how we was talking about, like what Terry had mentioned. Okay. I'm not familiar with, I guess, her. So I've never seen her work, but I'll definitely try to look that up. Let's see. Written Wisely says, looked up Senosuke. She's definitely a Warhammer fan since that's clearly her technique. Plus, it's all over her channel. Very good technique, that's for sure. Nice. Sparion says she is a Citadel painter. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting employed by Citadel, man, you must be doing something right. Yeah. Persistent Turtle, Mr. Lucas, he's over there on YouTube. He says, hello, Mecha Army. Happy Wednesday. It is. It kind of is. Let's see. Sparion says, very familiar, and I use a few of them. Watch a lot of 40K vids, but not into the models. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I appreciate the artwork and the artistry that goes into them. Some of these dudes are just absolutely amazing. There's one dude I follow on Instagram, and I can't remember his name. It's something Damon, and he's won like freaking countless awards, and he makes these just stupid beautiful paintings on like capes and stuff like that, and draperies on little figures and stuff like that, minifigures, and it's just awesome. Like super cool stuff, extremely talented, right? So yeah, no, I absolutely appreciate the artistry that goes into them. But like Sparion, it's not my thing. I'm not into it myself. But man, it's like seeing a fine carpenter or a baker or a chef or somebody like that, just that is at a super high level of their particular craft. And you just have to appreciate that, right? Just really good shit. Written Wisely over there on YouTube says, it's great painting, but I personally don't like it. It takes away from the quality of paint since you simply paint in the highlights. Just why I don't like it. It takes talent, however. Fair? I think that's fair. Bill says, Sparion, what are your thoughts on the new Warhammer thing from Bandai? I kind of dig it. I almost kind of want one just to mess around with it, right? I don't know. I think they're going to be expensive, or they are expensive or something, so I don't know. Meh. William Wilm says, Orc Painter Nerd has an amazing video of him painting a Jesta. Interesting. He says, that video got me fired up to get into airbrushing my kits. Huh, interesting. Sparion says, no clue about them, I'm just into Gundam. Same. Bill says, gotcha. Terry T says, I just used my Dremel on a drill press stand and turn it to use as a lathe to shape a plastic part. It worked, and it didn't, I think. I need something with lower speed, like the tack life you have. Yeah. Terry, you need something with torque. That's what you need. My best advice, buddy, one of these. Just even a cheap one. This is going to have the torque that you need. And it goes at low speeds, right? Yeah. That's low speed. That's super low speed. That's what you need. You need torque at low speed, right? That's really kind of what you need in terms of trying to get, make your own like little lathe and stuff. A Dremel spins way too quick. Way too quick. You're either A, going to break your tool, or B, going to break and melt your part. The tack life is great for what it does, but I don't think that it would be good in terms of trying to make a lathe or trying to lathe a part. Get yourself a drill. Trust me. Or if you have a drill, use that. And then a lot of what some guys do is they make like little contraptions where they invert the drill, and they have like I don't know what the other part of the lathe is called, the center point. I think that's what it is. The center point on the other side. They just make like an MDF or like wood kind of frame, and then they put like a little tension thing around the trigger, and it just does it that way. So yeah, low speeds, high torque. That's what you need. So go for that, man. Go for that. Written Wisely says, what? Do you have a link or name to Google? To Bill. Yeah. That's I think it's like a Figurize 40K figure that Bandai is making or has made or something like that. I don't even know if it's out yet, to be honest with you. Bill says, Google Bandai Warhammer. Yeah, exactly. Sparion says, I do have my first Tamiya armor going at the moment, likely my last. Wow. Bill says, Terry, yeah, it definitely lends itself to working with softer plastic we use in this hobby better than the Dremel. However, I would use the Dremel first on acrylic plastic. Yeah, 100%. Again, though, low speeds. Well, for acrylic, you probably want a little bit of a higher speed, now that I think about it. That has a tendency to be a bit brittle. So, but still very, very strong. But when you machine it, it can get a little hinky. Sparion says, yeah, those 40K look like gumball machine figs. Wow. Terry T says, I'm shaping the styrene tube, so a lower speed would be ideal. I may need to design a lathe stand to incorporate the tack life. Yeah, maybe. Commissar Stanley says Citadel underdogs for the win. Bill says, cool, Terry, post a pic of your setup when you figure it out. Yeah, Ronald J. Shelton, he's over there on YouTube and he's got a question. Let's reload the button here.
We have a question.
He says, what is a good product to strip the plating off the Hayaku Shiki 2.0 slash Mr. Color Paint? Great question, Robert. Go to my website, www.chadamecha.com, hit the tutorials, and I already have a full article, the definitive stripping guide to the Hayaku Shiki 2.0. My testing results, I have found that a product called Zep Fast 505, it's available at Home Depot here in the States, is by far the best and quickest option. It takes about 6 or so hours, but it does not affect the plastic in any way, shape, or form, and it just eats that stuff for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I even have a video in that article showing a time lapse of the Zep Fast 505 eating away at the plating, and it's kind of wicked to see. It's very surreal almost, right? But yes, for the plating, definitely use Zep Fast 505. There are other solutions that take a little bit longer, but Zep Fast 505 100% is my hands down favorite. Now for Mr. Color Paint, different story. 91% isopropyl alcohol will rip through that in probably 30 seconds to a minute. It will eat it, just and that's really any lacquer-based hobby paint, honestly. 91% isopropyl alcohol is probably a little hard to find right now with everything going on. But what I've found that has worked very, very well, since it is an essential item on Amazon, hit the Amazon link below on YouTube. I have a link to to cases of 91% isopropyl alcohol, and what I did was I signed, put in my email address to be notified when it comes in stock, right? When you get that email, jump on that shit right away. I ordered 3 cases at the beginning of this thing, so I have 18 bottles of this stuff right now. That's going to last me a fairly long time, but it's inexpensive. 6 bottles is pretty inexpensive right now, or at least from what I paid for it when that was in stock. So that's the best thing I can tell you, because you're not probably going to find it in the wild, out in the stores and everything right now, because people are being stupid. But hit the link below, put your email address in there to be notified when it's in stock, and then jump on it. So that's the best thing I can tell you, Robert, for Mr. Color Paint, because that literally will eat through it in seconds, and not affect the plastic. So very, very effective. Charles Dodge says, don't know which ones or generation of 40K figs you're looking at, but none of them look like Gumball Machine figs. I mean, 40K painters say doing Gunpla is like painting by numbers. Yeah, I mean, it's one half dozen or another, you know? I mean, just the size of 40K figs, I can see where he's coming from. They do, are small and kind of cutesy at that point. It's almost like, remember those little figures when you were a kid, like in the 80s, those little muscle figures, those little weird wrestler figures from Japan that you would get in gumball machines? They're almost like that, but not in a bad way. I'm just saying, just for comparison's sake. Charles says, so maybe it's off with the put down of other. I mean, I don't think it's a put down. It's just a comparison. That's all. Not a big deal. I hope Sparion wasn't, putting it down in any way, shape, or form. But, it is what it is. Terry T says, I have a drill, so let me charge that up and try that as a lathe. Thank you, Tim. Dude, you're welcome. Like I said, high torque, low RPM, you should be 5x5. And if you don't know that reference, it's from Aliens. We're 5x5. Written wisely, I found the Bandai figure going for $215 on pre-order. Yeah, I'm not getting that anytime soon. Scott Day says Bandai Warhammer Space Marine. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Commissar Stanley, the Bandai Warhammer Space Marine came out, but it was a limited run with only a few thousand made. It was around $200. Yeah, no. I'm not gonna lay down that money for that. No way, shape, or form. Bill says $200 for a figure of that size sounds fair. I mean, the miniatures aren't cheap. Not saying it is a good price, but I can understand it. I mean, yeah, when you put it in those terms, yeah. Excuse me. Ronald J. Shelton over there on YouTube says, thank you, sir. You're welcome, Ronald. Commissar Stanley, 5x5. We're in the pipe. You damn right, son. Damn right. We are 5x5 and in the pipe. God, I love that movie. It's, that movie came out, what, in 1986, I think? And still, it still stands up. Even today. God, that was such a great sci-fi movie. Like, I will, when it's like on TV and stuff, I will, it's one of those movies that I will sit down and watch in its entirety, right? Even if I catch it in the middle, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what's going on. This is great. Oh, so good. So good. And when I was a kid, I wanted one of those pulse rifles, right? I wanted one of those so bad. But then now, today, like, you see the props and everything, and you're just like, yeah, it's just not that cool anymore. It was awesome in the movie, just not that cool anymore. Yeah. But, man, such a great movie. Probably the best Aliens movie out of the whole series. No, I take that back. It is the best movie out of the entire Alien series. I don't give a shit if you like the first one. Second one, that was the dope one. I don't get out of here with the first one's better. No, boo-boo. It was not better. Anyway, let's get back to this, shall we? All right, so next up, we're going to tackle the scribing down here at the bottom. 442, plenty of time. Yeah, plenty of time. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our scribing jigs. And again, it doesn't matter which one it is, just as long as it has the length that we need in terms of focus. There we go. In terms of the right angle here, right? That's what essentially we're looking for. And we're looking to bring those lines down right, that line right there, right? We're looking to bring that down, and then that scribing jig will help us, right? Let's see. Chris Degger says you can buy the pulse rifle as an airsoft gun. Oh, man. He says, I have one of those and the RoboCop pistol. Oh, see, that was another one that I kind of really dug when I was a kid. Let's see. Commissar Stanley says, man, I love that movie. I spent 3 years as a kid saving for a pulse rifle replica. Still got that thing. Oh, I'm a little jealous. I'm not going to lie. I am a little jealous. Gumball Uruguay. Aliens was the best, hands down. See? Game over, man. Game over. Hicks. Oh. God. Or no, Hudson. That was Hudson. Shit. What? Yeah, that was Hudson. Hudson. Sorry. Hicks was the one, the guy that actually survived. He fell asleep on the drop ship. Yeah. And he pulled out the shotgun, and yeah, he kept that for close encounters. Let's see. William Williams, later, everyone. William, take care, buddy. Sparian says, not bashing the gumball machines. I'm sorry, that's kind of funny. I'm not going to lie. That's kind of funny. Just, let's drop it. Let's drop it. Yeah? Superset 5 was, it still is the best. Yes. Julius Dembski Hudson was played by the late Bill Paxton. That is true. Yeah. Yeah, just such a great movie. Such a great damn movie. And then I loved how they asked the lieutenant, how many drops is this for you? And he's just like, I forget the number, but he was just like, 37 simulated. And then Vasquez was like, how many combat drops? He's just like, 2, including this one. I lost it. I was like, oh, he's green. He's green. Oh, yeah. Just, oh, such a great movie. Such a great movie. All right, that's perfect right there. So the 1 millimeter, right up the gut, right along that surface. That's gonna be our sweet spot. But even better is this little one here, which is slightly less than 1 millimeter. So we'll use that and get that super tight right up against that edge of the piece, right? So we'll get rid of that. Now what we will do, let's go. This is 2 millimeter, and we're going to catch a line. We're going to draw a line, I should say, right there. And that will be our marking point for our angles. Right there. Right across there. So now we'll bring the verticals down to that line, and then we'll angle the lines over down to that bottom line there, right? So let's do this. Let's just quickly scrape this bit off here. Just like that, right? And then we'll get our little itty bitty scribing jig, and then we'll make a guideline for the bottom scribe here, right? Just like that. Now, the space between those two lines, I don't know, maybe 0.6, 0.8 of a millimeter. So not very big. Not very big. Yeah, probably about 0.8 because it's a little bit wider than the 0.6. So that's perfect. That's what we want, right? It's what we want. All right, so now let's get to actual scribing here. And what we're going to do, again, 0.15 here, we're going to pull these lines right up to the corners of this piece, right? Now the trick is to hold the scribing jig and the piece all in one hand. That's the tricky part, right? That's the tricky part. That's where the skill comes in. Right about there. There. Good stuff. All right. Let's just reinforce that line real quick. Now, we're going to have to fill in a little bit of this line with super glue because of the nature of how thin that line is, or how short it is, I should say, and then our angles here too. But that's not going to be a big deal. That's not going to be a big deal at all. We can fill that in at a later date. But we now have that line reinforced there. So that's looking good. Now, let's get the other line done up here. This might be a little bit of a trickier grip. Right there, perfect. Now we're going to push into this line. That's moving on me a little bit, so we'll get rid of that and we'll just kind of raw dog this thing. Okay, just like that. Good there, and then we'll bring that line up across here. Reinforce that. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to grab this little scribing jig, which is cut at 45 degrees on both sides. And now that we know where our connection points are, we can now use this to scribe our little angles here, right? But again, the grip on this, we need to be a little careful. And you know what we'll do is we'll actually draw these in, and then kind of raw dog the freehand the scribing portion of this, right? Make it a little bit easier on ourselves. Right there. Okay, so there's that side. And then this side's going to be a little bit more tricky. Just because of the orientation of the piece, right? Just like that. All right, so now we've got an even 45 degrees on both sides. We know our bottom, where our bottom line is, so now we can simply connect these short lines together. And then for the bottom line, we'll just use our little scribing jig right up along the edge there, and that will be fairly easy to get that line scribed into place. Okay. Just need to be careful with making these lines here. Get that debris out of there. Just like that. Okay. Pretty good. Pretty good. All right. So now we'll do the same thing on the other side. Just kind of raw dog this one. Again, unless you have a lot of experience with freehanding a chisel like this, man, don't do this. Put a piece of guide tape down. But like I said, guys, I've been using chisels like this for years and years and years, and I know kind of the tolerances of this chisel and kind of the behaviors of the plastic and all that. So seriously, use some tape and save yourself a lot of hassle and potentially a lot of money by not breaking your chisels, right? So, FYI. Alright, so now all we have to do is connect these lines. Come on, stay in place, you little shit. Okay. We've got the groove set in there now. That looks pretty good. Now, just need to go back and do our due diligence with reinforcing and deepening this panel line here. And obviously, we need to connect all of the corners and everything with it as well. So far, so good. Just need to get this line deeper here. We're almost there. Alright, just getting everything connected and getting the depth of all these lines to be similar. That's kind of all we're doing right now. Alright, so now, brush that off of there. Let's get this sanded a little bit. We're just going to sand this whole piece here. So we're going to try to make all of that graphite disappear, even that floating notch. Alright, get as much of the sanding dust out of this as possible, and then we'll go over this one more time with a chisel to get it really nice and clean. Just a little sanding there. Alright, just had to take care of a little bit of tidying up work there. So now, just a really quick light pass just to clean it out. Alright. Yeah. 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 I dig it. I dig it. Alright. So, last thing we got to do here on this piece. 459. Cool. We're going to put in a couple little notches here on this surface. And let's see. We're going to go right about there. About 2 millimeters over from the side. looks good there. Put the other one on the other side. About 2 millimeters in from that side of the piece. Nice. Okay. So, let's get all of the parts back together here. And let's see how we did. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Now, one thing I really quickly want to do before we head out for the day is instead of putting a floating notch down here in this corner, I think we're going to put one up here on this corner, right? And we're going to put a horizontal one. And where's that little, yeah, here's the little guy. We're going to put a horizontal little floating notch up here. Just a little thing. And we're going to use the 0.30 for that, right? And let's see, I'm going to have to really kind of get down on this thing. Is this in camera? Yeah, okay. Alright, we're making it very small, maybe like 2 millimeters or so in length. You guys got to remember, this is a high grade, this isn't a master grade, so keeping it small. Okay, just like that. Squaring up both sides. There. And let's see. All right. Get as much of the dust and debris out of there as we possibly can. Go back with our chisel and just kind of get the rest of the gunk out of there. Okay. Looking good so far. Yeah, there we go. Sweet. All right, so put that away. Chisel discipline as always. And yeah. Let's get super zoomed in. Okay? Let's get super zoomed in here. 5x. And there we go. There is our little panel right there at the bottom of that piece, and you can kind of see how the panel lines that we scribed in help to separate it from the rest of the piece here, right? Because let's see, this panel line, obviously we need to fill in this little bit that we kind of went overboard there, right there. But what we did was we angled this line to go up on this side, and then this one follow the contour of the piece. So basically you can imagine that this flap here just kind of opens up, retracts, what have you, whatever it is. So that looks really good, especially with those 2 little notches right there. That'll catch that panel lining fluid real nice, and it'll really kind of set that off. And then we move up here to our cute little floating notch, right? Now, the reason why I put it up there rather than down here is because we couldn't, if it was down here, we couldn't really call that out, right? Up here, we can call that out. We can like put a decal underneath of it or off to the side or maybe diagonal from it or something like that. And then that decal means something more, right? Essentially, this is like a panel lock, right? So we can use a Mecha decal, and it has panel lock, on the top decals, those teeny tiny ones. We can put one right here, kind of off to the side, or like I said, below it, diagonal to it, and then that will, really kind of mean something there. But yeah, so there we go, the fruit of our labor today, right? So essentially what we did was we scribed this piece out here, added that little floating panel, got our design and everything there for that little flappy piece, and yeah, overall the skirt I think really looks good, and I think we're gonna just leave it at that. I don't think this needs anything else, to be honest with you, because I think anything else would probably be a bit too much, right? So, all right, kids. So there's that. Let's get out of Soupy Zoom here. Pull back the windows. Let's go camera 1, and we'll get caught up in the chat one last time. What do you say? Let's see here. Terry T says, what? Bill Paxton is no longer with us? Yeah, dude, he died a few years ago. Yeah, and then Terry says, at least we still have David Bowie. Oh. He says, I seriously did not know that Bill Paxton is not with us anymore. Really? Terry, David Bowie's dead too, right? I mean, I hope Terry's kidding. But yes, David Bowie's dead. Finito. Let's see. Sparian says heart attack, if I remember, was still pretty young. Yeah, no, Bill Paxton was pretty young. I think it might have been something sudden like a heart attack, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember though. Bill says, yeah, it's hard to keep up with celebs dying. Just notice they haven't done anything in a while and look it up. Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. Pretty young. Wasn't he in his 60s or 70s? No, it was 61, so young 60s, I guess, right? Still looked really good for his age. Bill says, yeah, not sure you can consider that young. Not old, but not young. Young enough, I'd say. And still very vibrant and looked, like I said, looked good for his age, right? So young in that respects. Yeah. He had a great career, lots of fantastic movies. Weird Science was obviously his best work, though. Oh my God. As the brother, yeah. I just remember when he was a fat little monster at the end. He's just like, "What's up, dudes?" That grossed me out when I saw it when I was young. Bill says they were. Sparian says I still find myself humming the Weird Science theme. Yeah, right. It's catchy. He says there were a lot of fantastic and original movies in the 80s. Bill says I always get Weird Science and Real Genius mixed up until I start singing the song. Both great movies. Yo, I loved Real Genius. That was one of my favorites. Sparion says Logan's Run, one of my top 10 all-time sci-fi faves. Yeah, Bill says, wasn't Logan's Run's like 80s or late 70s, and Sparion says 76. I have never seen Logan's Run. I'll be honest with you. Never seen it. Bill says, it's an SD at this point, not even a high grade. Yeah, I know, but for scaling. For scaling, Bill. He's talking about the notch, and when I said keep the notch small because it's a high grade, right? Julie Samsey says, damn, I just dropped a small metal part on the carpet. Oh, goodbye to that. If it's aluminum, Julius, then you're pretty much SOL. If it's steel, on the other hand, you can always take a magnet and kind of run it across the carpet, and who knows what you'll find, right? But if it's aluminum, just cut and run. It's the best thing I can say. Let's see. Charles Dodge says, put something like pantyhose over the end of a vacuum, you'll catch it. Hey, that's a great idea, actually. That's a really great idea. Commissar Stanley says, I miss Nick Cage. He's still alive, though. Whatever. Chris Degger says, still young to die. Yeah, true. Superset 5. Quick question. Okie dokie.
We have a question.
Is .5 too big of a floating notch on the back of a bicep of... No, it's definitely not. That is definitely not too big. I use .6s sometimes. So, no, .5 is perfectly fine. I would say superset. You know, getting up to your .7s, your .8s, even your 1 millimeters you can use on... in some places. Not a lot, but in some places, like really big panels and stuff. Yeah, you can use up to 1 millimeter and it would still look fine. So, yeah, .5 is very appropriate. Commissar Stanley says, it's not 80s, but are we going to forget Starship Troopers, the first one? Would you like more information? Chris Degger says, you will find it with your foot later. Yeah, well, that's very true, isn't it? Yeah. Nice, 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 nice. All right, kiddos. That's going to do it for me for today. 511. Let's check out for this afternoon, shall we? So, with that being said, rocking the classic, like I said. If you want to rep Child of Mecha, go hit up www.childofmecha.com. Hit the store button up at the top. You will find this shirt, hats, prints of the work, the whole 9 yards in there. Go load up with that stimulus money. And if you're interested in any of the tools and materials that we were working with here today, there's an Amazon link just below here on Twitch and YouTube. That side, if you're watching on Facebook, I do get a bit of a commission based off the stuff that you buy, but it does not increase the cost for you. And it goes to help out me, help out the stream, and kind of power our endeavors moving forward, which are moving very quickly, I might add. And last but not least, if you are interested in kits, paints, accessories, tools, Mecha Decal Sheets 1 and 2, those are both in stock and shipping now. Hit up our good friends right down here, USA Gundam Store. Add them in the fine, fine crew down there. We'll definitely have what you need. And by the way, they are getting restocked either this week or next week with at least 2 containers. Like, containers, guys. Not just like containers. Right? And then they're trying to get another one straight from Japan through Bluefin and Bandai. So, yeah. If you see something that's not in stock right now, be patient and keep checking. Sign up for the USA Gundam Store newsletter because they will let you know when the restock happens. But keep checking every single day for that restock, and trust me, it'll pay off. So, go show them support because they are a small business, right? So, yeah. Let's see. Aside from that, we will be back here in about 5 hours to continue working on the GBWC build. We made some good progress with the shield, and I got the border all installed and everything. We just got to clean it up now. But that'll be tonight, so come on back for that. And tomorrow we're going to jump back here on this thing. And same time tomorrow, about 3 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. And then on Friday, we got another daytime show. And then we got Mechanism, or I should say DMC-ism, because it's going to be all DMC, deep, meaningful conversation. Because we didn't get to any of that last time because we were just a bunch of drunk idiots. So we're going to do that this week, and we're just going to have some hopefully good conversations, right? So There we go. Chris Degger says prints are real nice. Go buy them. I agree, right? The prints are freaking beautiful. I have 2 prints that I still have yet to frame. I have the frames and everything. I just haven't put them in the frames of the SD artwork for the Hummingbird and the Ozymandias. And I got to get those in the frames. So maybe I'll do that today. I don't know. Anyway, take care, you guys. Be safe out there. Wash your hands. Use some common sense and go make something pretty damn cool. Fudabe always says DMC stands for Drunk Modeling Competition. I always thought it stood for Demonetized Mecha Channel. Let's hope not, though. Anyway. All right, guys. We'll see you all next time. Bye.